What is up, guys? What's going on? It's your favorite mortgage lender. Actually, coming at us live on a Tuesday. Yesterday, we had the holidays with President's Day. Hope everybody had a blessed holiday. Time is flying by, man. I can't believe we're almost done with February. Just about the almost end of last quarter. What are we going over today? What were the expectations in terms of the market, and what do we have kind of going on heading into the new month? Okay, so the first thing we're going to dive into is a little bit of a recap. We talked about the producer price index and the CPI report, both coming out fairly a little out of expectations, which kind of blew, but we are going to go over everything in detail and truly set the proper expectations from there. Okay, so starting off with the CPI report for the consumer inflation. So again, it came in a little higher, as I stated, above expectations. Headline came in at 3.1. We were really trying to hit that 2.9%. A little bit of an uptick that we saw was shelter costs, which is what we're going to go into right now. We also saw that the core year-over-year number came in at 3.9%. Now, although it did fall from 3.4 to 3.9, as I mentioned, it did exceed the expectations of 2.9%. So core CPI now, if we take away the volatile food and energy, again, that shows that slight increase. So the main items that we saw, remember, inflation was almost as high as 9.1%. We're now sitting at about 3.1%. It's a very, very big difference when we compare apples to apples in terms of the readings, okay? Now, when we talk about PPI, Producer Price Index, so obviously we got the consumer number roughly around Tuesday. We kind of threw things out of perspective. We were hoping Friday, a couple of days ago, that the number would come in favorable. Fortunately, it didn't. It showed a little bit of an increase with the Producer Price Index, which kind of now is going to probably prompt the Fed to not necessarily aggressively hike or potentially cut. They're going to kind of continue to keep monitoring a lot of these different standpoints as to where we're going to be when it comes to interest rates and when it comes to their federal funds rate. Okay. So again, the good thing is again, we're seeing that wholesale inflation and consumer price index is starting to drop. The one caveat, again, it's just taking a little bit longer than we want, right? Then we have the home builder confidence. So once again, home builder confidence is high. It's at a 6-month high. What does that mean? That means that if the confidence of the market is starting to trickle up when we talk about home building, that's a positive notation for inventory and also a positive notation just overall in terms of what we're going to get for supply. Okay. Now, again, the measure is based from 0 to 100, 50 being anything over that showing good. We're slowly ticking away, as you guys can see, into roughly 48, closer to 50. Okay. Now, the one thing we did see, though, when we talk about home construction, we saw a little bit of a slowdown with permits, a little bit of a less reduction, up 8% year over year, which is great. And then we started seeing also on the completion side up 2.8%. That is usually the two numbers I always want us to concentrate on. The permits, how much new stuff is being filing, and then how much new stuff is being completed towards the end. Okay, so again, we're on pace to kind of go closer to about 1.4 million homes throughout the entire year. Nowhere near where we need to be for a balanced neutral market, right? We saw a little bit of a tumble on Thursday, Friday with the retail sales numbers, which kind of actually helped interest rates kind of plateau a little bit, but it did drop 0.8% from December to January. Usually is slightly expected in terms of holiday season being done, seeing a little bit of a sharp decline. Some of the major stuff we saw was gas stations, home improvement, and online retailers showed a little bit of a pullback with that stuff, right? So again, the Fed is going to continue obviously keeping an eye on that retail sales number because it does directly impact the economy, does directly impact consumer spending, and kind of keep an eye on those fluctuations and take it from there. Now, again, one thing that we obviously always talk about is inflation, and the other thing is employment. When we look at the employment market, it's so hard to put a gauge as to what's the reality of the employment market, what's causing a lot of this fluctuation that we keep seeing consistently, right? And we started seeing that new filing unemployment claims decline by 8,000, not necessarily the craziest thing. Now, although it came in low, it's still the second highest level since November of 2021. That's the part that the media doesn't concentrate on, right? So initial jobless claims are still high right around the time when the pandemic was hitting, right? And then the last thing what we have is the expectations into what's the expectations for this week. So this week, we're going to start getting a lot of different fluctuations in terms of the Fed minutes tomorrow. So we're going to get a feedback in regards to what did the Fed say last meeting? What are the expectations? We're going to do a deeper dive specifically into what we're going to see when it comes to the completion ratio, when it comes to their expectations for cuts, we're going to see also if we're going to get a little bit of a hints as we slowly start creeping into the next Fed meeting in March, but also simultaneously a few inflation and employment data that come in between. I appreciate you guys jumping in. Not much to expect this week aside from that. We will have weekly jobless claims that comes out every Thursday, and then we will get the existing home sales that will simultaneously come out showing how the month of January's existing sales were. I'll keep you guys updated as always. Tune in next week. Catch you guys later.